Hi guys, I haven't done an English video for a very long time. So lately I've been having a lot of questions from some of my younger sisters from my youth groups or some of the parents asking me about the profession, about the pharmacy profession, because I guess August is here and school about to start, and then everyone start having questions about what they should do in college and everything. So I'm here to share with you guys just some of the little tidbit of what I know. It may not all be right and may not fit all of your needs, but I hope it kind of give you an idea where to start and where to ask questions. So I'm going to answer the first question that a lot of people have been asking me is, I want to go into pharmacy, so what should I do? My honest answer at this moment is don't go to pharmacy. Avoid pharmacy at all costs right now, because pharmacy is actually not a good field to go into. Maybe it was a few years ago, maybe like 10 years ago, when I went into pharmacy like back in 2008, which was like 10 years ago. It's so crazy. I've been working for 10 years. It was a good field, but right now, at one point in time, there was a shortage of pharmacists. So like every other profession, whenever there's a shortage, the government starts building up school and then building them like mushroom, like they're like growing out of nowhere like mushroom, and then spitting out all these pharmacists, producing all these pharmacists, and now there are a surplus of pharmacists and not enough jobs for them. This happened to a lot of different professions too. I know that lawyers went through something like this probably a few years ago. I don't know if they've bounced back, but right now I feel like they're still in the same situation, and so are pharmacists. So honestly, with the kind of investment that you have to make to go to pharmacy school, because it will cost you almost, depending on what school you go to, it's gonna be between like it's probably gonna be at least $100,000 by the time you're done with pharmacy school. That's how much money you owe. So, and then there's no guarantee that you'll find a job when you get out. So honestly, I don't think it's a good investment right now. Maybe give it a few more years to kind of, for things to kind of balance it out, and we'll go from there. But right now, I don't think pharmacy is a good field to go into. And I don't think law is a good, like lawyers, I don't think that's a good field to go into either. So this video is mainly for a lot of my Asian younger generation, and I'm sure most of the younger generation know that our parents are only approved of probably 3 set of profession. They pretty much will say something like, oh, be all you can be, do whatever you want, as long as you become a doctor, something in the medical field, pretty much engineer or a lawyer. But honestly, a lot of what our parents told us, it may not always be right. So you have to be your own champion. You have to go and find out on your own, do a little research, go to like the Department of Labor, like type in Google, what are the best jobs for 2008 and on, or jobs outlooks for 2018, and go to the Labor Department. I think it's like Labor Department of the U.S. that would kind of give you, I think the last time I read, it talks about how starting from 2018 to 2026, it gives you an outlook of how each profession will grow and what are the top 25 professions you should go into. So that's a good guidance for you. I know in America they always talk about follow your passion, follow your dream, and I think you should, absolutely should, but be realistic with it too. Be practical. If anything that my parents ever taught me is be practical in what you do. But at the same time, if we can incorporate that into your passion, that'll even be more perfect. So I'm just here to kind of tell you what I know or remember much from college, because honestly, when I was in college, it was actually 2002. So oh my God, like 16 years ago? 16 years ago. So I don't know if it still apply now, but I'm gonna go ahead and share with you guys what I remember, and whatever you can use it. Whatever, if it doesn't apply anymore, then ask for help. Reach out to me. Whatever you guys want to do, maybe I know someone that I can steer you toward the right direction. So one of the things I was gonna do is cocoa water. Okay, so a lot of you guys, fall is here, so a lot of you guys are going to start college soon. So my take on college is you don't have to go to the best school when it comes to undergrad years, because honestly most of the degree now, most of the 4-year degree now, you will ended up have to go to grad school to make something out of that 4-year degree. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them going to be that way. So honestly, in my opinion, I don't think you should go to like the top-notch school for your undergrad years, because there's a few reasons for that. Like let's say in my state, in North Carolina, we have a few like really top-notch school that everyone want to go, or all of the parents want their kids to go there. So like Duke, Chapel Hill, and State and all that stuff. So honestly, in my opinion, don't go for the top-notch school, because first of all, it's really hard to get in, and once you get in, I feel like your grade will suffer. A lot of people, a lot of you guys, I'm sure, are maybe like the top few, the few top people of your class in high school, and you have that, false sense of confidence that, yeah, if I can do this in high school, I'm gonna do well in college. But I have a lot of friends, and I know a lot of people got burned that way, because college is just a different ball game. It's not the same as high school. Doing well in high school does not guarantee that you'll do in college. I know that for sure. So, and then once I remember my uncle used to tell me when I first started college, he's like, if you think that you're smart now, when you get to college, you're just this little itty bitty grain of sand, like in this whole, in the desert kind of thing. It just tells you how little you are. Because when you go to the smart school, and if you're lucky to get in, you're basically competing with like the top of the top people everywhere around the country, not just that state, right? So it makes sense that your grade will struggle a little bit, if not a lot. So versus if you go to like an average, university, maybe like UNCG, UNCC, somewhere in the proximity of within the state, then there are still really good universities, and I feel like you won't be as stressed, and you won't compete as much or as hard, and your grade, you will do better on a lot of your classes, and your grade won't be suffering as much. And the way I look at grad school, let's say like pharmacy school or dental school, the way I look at it, I don't know if this is true, but the way I look at it is, when two people apply for, like, let's say dental school, I would imagine the first thing that people look at to compare two people is, their GPA. If two people, let's say the two people come in with the same GPA, let's say 3.9 and 3.9, I feel that's the only time then they would look at, okay, let me see what school from this person from. Then from there, maybe I can give them an interview, like an entrance interview. So I feel like that's maybe the only time when the school may matter a lot. Versus, let's say they look at the GPA and one person go to an average school and they get like 3.9, and then this other person go to a super famous or super top-notch school and get like a 3.4. I feel like the 3.9 already in a good standing, and the 3.4 may already get eliminated on the first round, and by that time they probably haven't even looked at where you went to school yet. So I don't know if you guys really truly understand what I'm saying, but the point is to make that grade, to do really well, and honestly, you don't need to go to the top-notch school. Most of the parents, I feel like they have the wrong perception. I think it's more for, in the family phase, if you know what I mean. Like, if you make the family proud if you go to a certain school, and, it just make the parent proud. But these are the practical things that you guys should think about. Your parent may not think of it this way because they don't grow up here, they don't go to school here, so they're not familiar with the system. So you should be your own champion and look it up yourself. Don't depend on your parent. You guys are like, by now, you guys should be like 18, 16, 17, 18. You guys should be old enough to look at these information. And you're gonna be doing this for the rest of your life, whatever career you're gonna go into. So may as well make that decision for yourself. Make that choice, and then look up and then learn all about it as much as you can. Don't let your parent to just blindly choose whatever profession for you, because you're going to be the one that live with it for the rest of your life, right? And then the other thing is, my recommendation is when you, for like first year college student, I would suggest at the very first semester, don't overdo it. I know a lot of you, a lot of the high school student, they would come into college with this sense of overconfident that they can conquer the world and invincible and stuff. So they feel like if I take 8 classes in AP classes in high school and I did so well, top of my class, why can't I take like all these classes in, you know, college? But like I said before, college is a different ball game. It's all about independent studying, okay? It will consume a lot of your time if you're going to do well in college. So honestly, in my opinion, for the first semester, just to kind of try out and kind of see how college life fit for you, I would suggest you only take 4 classes, like 4 main ones, like 1 science, 1 math, 1 science, 1 math, and 1 like I think you have to take 1 English as a requirement too, and then the last elective. Let's choose something that's kind of fun, you know, something that's like psychology or something that won't take a lot of your time, and then just start from those 4 classes, and then next semester you kind of learn the in and outs of college, and you know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. By that time, you sort of have an idea what you can and cannot do. So at that time, if you want to take more classes, then you can. And then if you want to take less, you can even cut back. So because honestly, with grades, I'm sure it's everywhere, not just in college, even in high school. Once your grade plummet, it's really hard to bring it back up, okay? So don't go, it's very important, don't go into college. Don't be too cocky, too overconfident that you can conquer everything, because this is how most people fail. And once you fail, it's really hard to climb back up. So, you know, the first semester or even the first year, take it slowly. If you have to take summer classes later on to catch up, then you have to. And that's fine. It's better to, you know, start slow and maintain that high grade rather than start really strong and crash and burn and just cannot move back up again. And it hurt your confidence too. I know a lot of people that, you know, so smart in college high school, and then by the time they got to college, like they just couldn't hold themselves up. And this happened to when I remember, I don't know why I remember this, even though it's been like almost 15, 16 years, but I remember when I went to orientation at Chapel Hill, one of the person was like, okay, now look at the person on your left and look at the person on your right, because most people who enter Chapel Hill wanted to become some sort of doctors. Like I think they all went in there with the mentality of becoming something in the medical field. And then they said, look at the person on your left and look at the person on your right. Most likely after the first year, at least 50%, you may not see those 2 people anymore in the same, either they drop out of college or their major will change like drastically from like medical into business, or like, you know, like the opposite major pretty much. You know why? Because those introduction courses like introduction to biology, introduction to chemistry, they're not hard, but they're just very, like, they're so broad, they have so much information. I remember someone told me that the purpose of those classes are to wipe out the weak ones. So if you're weak, if you don't have the potential in this area, those are the classes were designed to wipe you out, right? So I honestly don't think that you should take chemistry and then biology all together in the first semester, because each of them come with a lab. And the lab, even though it's only 1 credit, but oh my God, it will be so time consuming. It's crazy. It's like a class in itself. So if you can take anything out of this talk that we're having right now, I would recommend just 12 credit, the minimum it required for you to be a full-time student. 12 credits, okay? And after that, you can go wild if you want. By that time, you should know what works and what doesn't for you already. And then the other thing is, besides schooling, I know a lot of parents always talk about schooling, you know, study. But honestly, find a hobby, find a passion. That will be your outlet when you're like stressed about school. Find something that makes you happy when you do it. Like my cousin, she loves drawing, like art is her thing. So I honestly told her, don't major in art. Make sure you don't. Be practical in what you want to do later on in life. Sometimes, there's a few people that their hobbies and their career choices go line in line with each other, and they get to do what they love. But there are a few people that are less fortunate. Like my cousin, if she loves art, I told her you can make it into like maybe a second major or like a minor, or even make it into a hobby. But don't go into art as a major, you know, because what if you get out and you can't find a job? What are you going to do with those 4 years? So make art as your outlet when you're stressed out from school. And then let's see, by all means, still follow your dream. make it happen. But be practical, and then this is very cliche, but be that well-rounded person. Do a lot of other things, play sport if time allow you to. Don't overstress yourself, don't overstretch yourself. And then if you can, I would highly, this is more like when you were younger, join some sort of like organization in your community or even in your school. Like for me, I grew up as a Gia Phật tử, which is a Buddhist youth group, and I think Catholic also have their own youth group. Those groups, it have taught me so much in my entire life. Like growing up, like I feel like a big part of my life was revolve around them, and I've learned so much from them without knowing. It just come to you naturally. It teach you how to work with other people. It teach you, it's like a small community that nurture you to become this person without judging you. So it taught me how, to work together with other people. It taught me, the act of compassion, like treat other people the way you want to be treated. And it taught you how to be a leader. Somehow leadership will come naturally to you if you were in one of those groups, in one of those organizations. And then I swear, I just know a lot of my kids from my temple who later on, left, even though they left the group, but they went on to become like, join DSA and different group in society, and they were natural leader. They would just stand up and then organize things without being asked, because that's come with being a part of an organization like a Buddhist youth group or the Catholic youth group. So I think it would benefit you guys much if you guys can join those kind of things, and you will make like long-lasting friendship from there too. I met some of my bestest friends from those groups, so I highly recommended that. And then let me see, okay, to learn, and then try to stay in state, because for the first 4 years, try to stay in state, so it will save your parents money. And then I promise you, you miss your parents a lot, and you love them a lot more after you go away for college. Actually, I would recommend go away for college, like a few hours away, not too far, so that your relationship with your parents will be so much better. I promise you. Somehow it worked out that way. I love my parents so much more when I was away for college. And then when you go to grad school, that's probably most likely that's when you actually move out of state or something in order to attend a grad school. So save out of state for grad school, not the 4 year. I don't think it'll be worth it. And then when you think of your job, don't just read it on Google. Don't just listen or just read it on Facebook or Google or anywhere. Actually talk to someone in their profession. Talk to them, ask them a lot of questions. If you don't know anyone, if you interested in a certain job, text me, let me know, and then maybe if I know someone, I will network you guys, I will link you guys, and you guys can talk more about it. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there willing to help, only if you ask them, right? And then when you look for a job, these are the kind of things I didn't think about when I looked for a job. So think of the salary. I'm sure salary is one of the big things. And then look for the benefit. Some job, it may have low salary, but the benefit, like the vacation day, like the stock option, the bonus, it will add up. So, look for a variety of things. Don't let salary be the only thing that you choose when you thinking of a career. Think of a stress level. Okay, are you one of those people that can do stress really well? Somehow I feel like, I don't know, girls tend to deal with stress better than guys. And then quality of life. Most of us now, we are like second or third generation in the U.S. So the way we look at quality of life is so different from our parents. So that's why I said earlier, it's important that you make the decision of what profession you should go into, and don't let your parent make that decision by themselves. Make it with them, and so that later on in life you won't be, you won't have this hard feeling toward them because you're like, oh, I hate my profession or hate my career, but then that's, I can't go back or it's too late. Then don't, I hope you don't ever have to go to that point. But quality of life is so important. I have friends who maybe they make a little less money than me, but I look at their picture, I live precariously through Facebook a lot. So they go on vacation whenever they want, and like going here and there, like at least once a month. And it just makes me very envious of that. And I thought to myself, I was like, maybe I'm missing something out in life. And that's what I'm talking about, the quality of life. In my profession, it's really, really hard to take vacation or extended vacation. So it's almost impossible. Like, the funny thing is, when you're a student, and this is what I actually recommend too, when you're a student, even if you take that small loan, or travel on a budget. Travel, do all the stuff that you want to do. It's so cliche, I know. People say travel while you skip, while you can, now that you have time, because later on in life, like what I am where I am right now, it's almost like I have the money, but I don't have the time to travel. I don't have the vacation to travel. I don't have the luxury to travel like when I was young, because I have my kids and then my work. So it's almost like when you're young, you have all the time in the world, but you don't have the money. So a lot of people choose not to travel. And then now that you're older, you have the money, but you don't have the time to travel. So that's the kind of thing that you have to balance it out. And so if I can choose, again, I would totally travel a lot more when I was younger, even if I had to borrow a little bit of money, or travel on a budget. I think it will make it really memorable, traveling on a budget. All right. And then for the job, also think of, is there room to move up? Let's say for pharmacy, I mean, maybe there's a few professions out there, you start out with really high salary, like 6-figure salary. But maybe for the next 10, 15 years, or maybe even for the rest of your life, your salary is capped right there. You don't really move up that much. You're just like right there, forever right there. If you move up, maybe just it just increased by a little bit, just to help, to move along with the economy. But there's not a lot of room to move up. Versus there are certain professions out there like engineering, a certain group of engineering I know, or business even. They started out low, like IT even. You start out low salary, like maybe 60, 70,000 or even less. But they have so much room to move up. Like maybe 3 or 4 years from now, they'll catch up to like 6-figure salary if they work hard and they use the opportunity correctly. So those are the kind of things you have to think about. Is there room to move up? When I was a student, I didn't think that was too important, but now that I'm in my job, I was like, this makes so much sense, right? So these are the kind of things that I hope you guys would look into. So besides these advices, I also talked to some of my friends, and I've always encouraged you guys to reach out, think outside the box, do something that don't do it because all the Asian people are doing it. Do it because it's your passion or something and let's also make sure it bring food to the table, home, and put a roof on your head too, not just like something fun and not too practical. So I talked to some of my friends, and then the funny thing is, actually, now to think about it, I look at it again, most of them do fit that typical Asian profile. They're all actually some sort of engineer or doctors or lawyers. But I want to share. I'm gonna cut and paste it in a little conversation up here, so you guys can read it in more details too. So one of my friends, he's a cyber software security engineer. So he loved his job most of the time, and so basically they kind of help protect the copyright of various software that's coming out and stuff. And he loved his job on most days. It's a very fast-paced job, and in terms of job security, it's not very secure, even though it's a fun job to be in. But they're constantly worrying that all these jobs that they're doing can be automated by robot in a few years down the road. So you're always constantly updating your skills. So when that happens, you're actually like multi-talented, that you can go into different fields if you have to when that time comes. And then other one is he's an optometrist, but then she is not your typical optometrist that you see in a optometry office. She has a background in biomedical engineering, I think, when she got that 4-year degree. And then she applied to optometry school. I think she worked for a year and then she applied to optometry school. So now she is not, like I said, she's not the typical traditional, optometrist that you see every day out there. She actually is, she worked for a company that actually designed contacts or something like that. It's very interesting. And she told me, she's like, she didn't even know that this kind of field exists, because after her 4th year in optometry school, she know that she doesn't want to do anything with like too much of like patient-based, clinical setting. So she ended up looking, go out there and look for this job, and then somehow there is such a job out there that doesn't require a lot of patient care, patient-centered based, clinical, but also it get to combine her engineering background into optometry. So like she totally loved her job. But and then you should read the little comment that she put on here. So it is one of those jobs. It's for people who want to be a doctor but really can't deal with all the gruesome stuff that doctor and dentists and stuff do. Then this would actually be a really good field. And she said they actually don't make that much money if you really think about the investment term, in term of like you invest all that money to become an optometrist, and then their salary is okay. I think it may be in the high 90 or even in the 100,000. But she said the return rate is not that great for salary. So don't go into this field for the money. Yeah, but I don't know. 90 or 100,000 still sound pretty good to me. And then my one of my other friend, he's a researcher and engineering manager for this tech company. So basically what he does is he research and then like research and then try to come up with all these novel technology that make his company stand out from other company. And then he loves what he's doing. And then but the only thing is with like the other software IT person, this is, I think most of the IT job will be kind of like this. They're very fun, very rewarding to be doing them, but then in terms of job security, it's very low job security, because they're a company that's that's very prosperous and doing well right now doesn't mean that 5 or 10 years from now they'll continue to do well, because technology changes constantly, right? So it's very unstable. So again, they always have to update their skill, always educate yourself, so that when things turn left or when things go south, then you always have a different skill set that kind of make yourself stand out from other people. So those are the kind of thing that you should consider. And then I'll also post his comments. You guys can look up into that. And I have another friend, she's a lawyer. Honestly, with her opinions, she said, if you're looking for a job that, she's like, don't go into lawyers. She's like, she's not loving her. Actually, she loves her job, but because she is her own boss. She has her own office. But even so, she feels like, again, the investment that she had to make to get into this field, and then the money that she came out, all the debt that she came out, the return in terms of like salary and quality of life and stuff, she said it's not worth it. And like pharmacists, lawyers, I think they have a surplus of them right now. So finding a job is hard, and even if you find a job, your salary may not start that high. Even though if you read a few reports, they'll say that lawyers may have some of the high salary, but a lot of them, they're like the median number. You know what median is? It ranks all the salary from the lowest to the highest. So someone that may be making like 40,000-50,000 a year, and then someone that make like 3-4 million a year, and then you basically pick a number in the middle of those two, those range. So that number are not always the best reflection of how much people actually make once they get out of school. So that's something you need to look into too. That's why if you talk to real people will give you a real perspective, and not just like so talk to real people, so it won't just give you a textbook answer. Okay, so that's one. So lawyers, my friend doesn't recommend it. If you're gonna be one, then maybe be your own boss. But even so, she said it's a very unstable business, because some month you make like 40,000, and then you go by with many months with no income at all. So it's a very volatile business to go into. And then this one is, I have a friend that's also an architect. It's a very challenging but also a very rewarding field, according to her. But she doesn't encourage everyone to go into it unless you're really passionate about design and like creative, like designing, being really a creative profession. If that's what you're into, then maybe that's a good field that you can consider. It's actually very flexible. You pretty much can move to anywhere, especially big cities, because there are jobs available there. But the job itself, the profession itself, is very sensitive to the economy. It tied closely with the economy. If the economy goes up, there'll be abundance of like architect jobs available. But if it goes south, there'll be many unemployed architects. So that's one thing that you have to consider when you go into this kind of field. So she said, I always have to like educate myself and update myself constantly to kind of like it's like multi-talented. So when things go south, I can always pick up that I make myself stand out. And this, I think this can go for a lot of jobs out there. And then I have a few nurses friends that they told me too that, you know, it's actually a very rewarding field. And for people, it's actually recommended for people who are like very passionate, passionate and love to help people, you know, strong ethic, great teamwork skills, and what is it? Let me see. Yeah, great teamwork skill. And this is a surprising one too, even in nursing, which is kind of makes sense now. Most of the career that you go into right now, it revolves around customer service. And in medical field, actually you deal with a lot of customer service on a daily basis. Taking care of your patient is a type of customer service too. So if you don't like to deal with people and stuff, I don't know if the medical field is the best profession for you, because you imagine you deal with sick people. So they're already sick, they're already irritated, so they're not being their, you know, happy self at the moment. So something to think about. So nurses and stuff, there's a lot of chance to move up, because technically a lot of my nurses friends went from nursing to nurse practitioner or PA, or even one of my other friends, he was a nurse, I cannot say this word, anesthesiologist. I have to say it really fast. Yeah, so basically, you know, people that give you the anesthesiology, what is it? Okay, you know what I mean. Yeah, people that, you know, knock you out when you're in the surgery room. Yeah, so she loved her job, but this one thing I want to tell you guys is most of the high-paying job, it will come with high level of stress. You know, it's like surgeon and all that job. They're very, you may think they live such a luxury life, wonderful life, but it all come with a cost. Nothing in this world that, you know, you can get a high salary and just sit around and do not a lot of work, or in a very low stress environment. Very rare. Maybe there are a few out there which I don't know, but most of the medical jobs, they're actually very stressful, and even in other fields. So that's something that you consider about. Are you one of those people that can deal with stress well? If not, then maybe look for a job that fit your personality. Okay, but I am one of those people too. I feel like I don't have to do what I love, because I feel like I can learn to love what I do. I feel like I adapt well. So let's see what kind of personality you have. And the other thing with nursing is very long hours. A lot of the nurses I know, they have to work like at least 12 hours straight, like maybe 3-4 days straight, and then they're off for a few days. It sounds very long, and actually it's physically and mentally tiring. I know that for sure, because I have witnessed nurses work before. They're like always on the run. But it's a very rewarding field, even though they said that nurses are underpaid though for the work that they do. Yeah, I think they started out maybe, I don't know how much they start out, but they can make up to like 65,000. Yeah. And then the other thing is, I have a friend that she's in the finance world. So this is more like business, accounting, financing. And then the way she described her job to me is, she is like a portfolio manager. So portfolio manager, so they would go and raise fund with the third parties, and they would bring all those funds back to their company, and they would invest that money, and hopefully making, you know, profit out of their investment. So it's a well-paid job. So usually the salary may not be that super high, maybe not at six figures when you start it, but it come with a bonus. That bonus will kind of, you know, balance everything out. So it's actually a well-paid job, very rewarding for those that are, you know, like business and, you know, very smart. And I think this, because it's a very challenging job. It's a very fast-paced job. You always have to be on top of things, and it's a very stressful job too. And sometimes it can be long hours, because, you know, and then it's not like when you go home you can leave work at home. I mean, yeah, or leave work at work, you know. And then, but she said, for those that are smart and interesting in business, this is a really good field to go into. Very rewarding. So, but the only thing is long hours, but like I said, every job have their ups and downs. So these are the kind of things we should look into. And then I have another friend, she's a doctor. She's a doctor, she works in a hospital. She loves her job. And then for her, like, this is mainly for people, for doctors who work in the hospital though, like dealing with death is like one of the hardest things still, like after many years of practicing, it's still one of the hardest thing for her. But one of the stressful thing for her, just this is a very stressful job, you know. Imagine you have someone live in your hand constantly. I don't know, I thought I used to want to become a doctor, but now I think about it, I think I'm too unstable to become a doctor. I probably would fall into a depression if one of my patients died. I'm sure we'll get used to it, but you know, still, it's hard. And then it's one of those professions that it's mentally very draining, very stressful. But I know, like, one of my good friends, she just graduated from medical school and she's doing a fellowship right now. So far, she loves her job. So as long as you come into this field, and then I guess with most jobs, with a passion, you know this is what you love to do, and then your passion will lead you, will lift you up on those really dark and gloomy days. Yeah, so this is why, again, it's important that you do what you're passionate in, right? So I don't want to say this, but don't let your parent force you into something that you don't want to do, okay? Talk to them. Let them guide you. Let them walk with you to find that right career for you, but don't let them force you into it, because this is your life. Yeah, so she said when you're there, you pretty much you have to be 100% commit, like you have to be there 100%. You really don't have time to distract by family, by other issue. So it's one of those things that it's take a lot of time out of your family too. And when you're home, you can't really, I mean, it's not like you can leave work at a hospital again. So, but then if this is too stressful, you can always be a family doctor. It's a lot less stressful, and you don't deal with death on a daily basis. And then lots of schooling, and then by the time you're done with schooling, you probably accumulate a large debt. So that's something to consider too. And then the other field is, like I said earlier, PA or nurse practitioner. Honestly, I feel this is the best field to go into right now. Job security is really high, because pretty much PA and nurse practitioner, they can do everything that doctors, not everything, but most of everything, most of the basic stuff that doctors can do. They just have to be watched over by a doctor. And then the schooling is not as long. I almost want to say, if you have a 4-year degree and you take the GRE, once you get into the program, you just have to do 2 more years and you can be a PA. Nurse practitioner, maybe similar route. And then, so less schooling, you don't have to owe as much money. And then when you get out, maybe your salary may be in the range of, I really want to say in the 80,000-90,000 the last time that I checked. And they don't have as much responsibility as the doctors, or liability as a doctor. So I honestly, if you have to go into a medical field right now, I really recommend PA or nurse practitioner. Look that up, look more into it. I don't know much about it, but I can base off of what I talked about other people. Look it up. And I have a few friends, and one of my patients actually is a PA too. So she's very eager to help. She said, if you have anyone that want to become a PA, give me their phone number. I mean, give them my phone number, and I'm more than willing to talk to them. And she told me this once, but it's like keep on sticking in my head that she's like, Lon, you know, I love my job so much. I mean, she's a retiree now though. She's like, at one point I love it so much that I feel bad for getting paid for doing it. You know, she's like, every morning I feel bad because I feel like I'm getting paid for doing something that I love so much. It's like, can anyone really say that about a job? I mean, I know I cannot say that about my job. So when she told me that, I was like, man, I want a job like her. I want to do something that I feel so passionate about. Every morning that I wake up, I was like, I can't believe I'm getting paid doing this, you know? Yeah. I hope everyone, I'm sure not everyone, but I hope most of you guys will find that job that you can proudly say that every morning instead of dreading it to come into that job. Because, you know, we do spend most of our time at work. So find something that you absolutely love, and, well, not even absolutely love, but, you know, find a balance, okay? And then I hope my brother was here so we can do a little interview on becoming a dentist. But my brother is a dentist, and most people think that dentist is actually a very good job to go into. But, you know, every job, like I said, they have their pros and cons. They have their stressful days too. And one of the things that my brother always complain about is back problem. Imagine you sit like this with your hand like this and back straight like this for many years. You will probably end up with back problem. My brother has back problem already, and like probably some sort of carpal tunnel problem. And then he said most dentists, a lot of times you don't see a lot of dentists that old in this field, because most of them cannot, like, it's actually take a toll on you physically. So a lot of dentists cannot function like this until like their retiree years. So ended up they had to do some sort of investment or sell off their business or work a lot less in order to maintain the business, to stay in the business. So these kind of things that I hope you guys would, you know, before you go into something, you know, talk to someone about it. I don't know everyone, but whatever profession that you're interested in, you can send me a text, send me a message. If I know someone, I can link you guys. And most of my friends are actually very eager to help. They're like, if you have a friend, I mean, if you your little one or whoever are interested, let me know. I'm more than happy to talk to them. So, you know, honestly, our whole community, Vietnamese community and Asian community, we're here for you guys. So make the best use out of us. I honestly want all of you guys to be successful, because all of you guys deserve it. Right? We have to live up to our Asian profiling, like a stereotype, right? So even though I told you guys that do something outside the box, but it looked like all the recommendation I've been making is revolve around lawyer, medical, and engineer. Well, you know, all of my friends are second generation immigrants, so they all ended up doing all these fields. But that's just a perspective of many jobs out there. Let me know if you have any questions. I will try my best to help you guys. And good luck with everything. Okay? All right. Okay, bye. Okay, guys. So today I'm lucky enough to see my brother. So he's going to tell you a little bit about dentistry. Here's our handsome dentist. Okay, tell me a little bit about your profession. Tell me the pros and cons, and do you recommend young adults to go into this field?
Well, some of the certain pro about dentistry would be the fact that it's an 8-to-5 job. So, you know, you have very structured schedule, kind of unlike pharmacists and whatnot, and even medical professional. Our salary is, or our medical compensation is pretty good. You know, you can make anywhere from about, depending on how hard you want to work, or, you know, how little you want to work, you can make as, you know, as little as, you know, 80, 90 to 150 K a year. And that's as a associate. So that means you're working for somebody. Certainly there's more risks and certainly more responsibility if you decide to become a business owner. That's something you kind of have to figure out once you kind of get into the profession. The con of the profession itself is very tiring on your body. Most days when you have a good busy day, I'm pretty sore all over. I go to a chiropractor maybe once a week. You know, I do that because I listen to the senior dentists that I've talked to in the past, and they said some of the wear down that you have is like your wrist. You start having wrist issue, you have neck issue, back issue. So along with all that, the profession overall is a great profession to be in, but you really got to make sure that you know you're doing it for the long haul, and it's not so much of a sprint but more a marathon. So a lot of time, that's kind of why I constantly have to remind myself,
pace yourself.
Pace yourself. You can make as much money as you want. I mean, that's the profession where, you know, as you work harder, you make more. So that's the great thing about the profession. However, unlike most professions, you need every part of your body. You need your
vision. You
need your eyes. You need your hands. You need your legs.
Your back.
You need your back. You need your mouth to talk to people. You need your eyes for sure. Your neck and everything else that go along with it. So, you know, try to work out or try to be healthy. I mean, that's the basic behind it, and the same reason why a lot of people going into dentistry is the financial stability, the very concrete hours that you get, even though we're not even in that hours anymore. But the downside, like I said, is unlike most professions, rarely will you ever get in and say, I have a job that provides me a 401 medical. So all that's on you. So you're almost an independent contractor most of the time, unless you go and work for a corporate dental office.
So it doesn't
Then
have benefits.
It doesn't have benefit unless you decide to work for corporate, and you still can get paid pretty well. It's just a downside is corporate is going to be making a lot of the decision for you. And I'm sure my medical and pharmacy counterpart can probably explain a little bit better on the corporate effect of how that affect their profession, and that's career overall. But for the people or young individual that are in college right now that looks into dentistry, it's a high demand profession. Certainly is very what's the word I'm looking, competitive to get into, and it's only getting more competitive. The downside with it is, sadly, some of you guys probably won't want to hear it, but it's only going to get harder to work in the profession.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a high suicidal rate in
Yeah, the
dentistry.
high suicide rate, but that's only, you're practicing by yourself. Most dentists don't practice by themselves anymore. That's it.
Okay, so it's a really good profession to go into.
I agree.
So you would recommend it to kids out there if they can do it, if they're like passionate about teeth and and all that stuff.
I would definitely recommend shadowing to figure out if you can do it. Sometimes the sound of the drill and the needles are probably
smell. I hate the smell of the dental
and
office.
Just blood itself, all that stuff. You need to know that you can handle it. It's better to know it now than try to figure it out once you get closer to the application process and then realize I can't do any of this. You should definitely shadow so that you can figure out if there's a certain specialty you want to go into. You got to start earlier. Shadowing now is just as competitive.
Maybe in high school?
Yeah. You probably want to start looking in high school. And it's sad to say, but I didn't start until sophomore year of undergrad, and that was late already. So you got to start shadowing earlier. And dental school are looking more for well-rounded people who is volunteering, who want to help the community. So you really got to get out there. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be dental, medical, pharmacy. They're all looking for something similar to that. Mm-hmm. They want you to be part of the community. Helping them is not all about the grades. You still need to have good grades, but don't realize just because you have good grades you're going to get accepted.
You need to get very lucky too.
Yeah.
Luck will have to be on your side.
You'll be lucky.
So pray a lot. All right. Thank you, Dr. Tran.
Yes, Andrew.
He has an office called Serene Dental Spa too. If you guys want to go and visit him, maybe he'll accept students. He accept? No, okay.
Yeah, accept students.
But he will talk to you more if you need to talk to him more about dentistry.
You can Facebook me.
Yeah, Facebook him.
Bye-bye.
Andrew Tran, thank you.